The smoke rose from the broken city like fingers reaching for help. Captain Daiho looked through his helmet's display at the ruins below. 3 days ago, this place had been beautiful. The report said the Veltani people built their cities, from living crystal that sang in the wind. Now everything was silent and black. Captain, we're getting weak life signs from the palace area, said Taimin, the team medic. His voice crackled through the radio. Could be survivors. Daiho nodded and signaled his team forward. Sora, their communications officer, was already scanning for enemy ships. The Krex Empire had hit this world hard and fast. They always did. Hit a planet, kill everyone, take what they wanted, then move on to the next target. The Terran Defense Corps had arrived too late to save the cities. But maybe they could save some people. They moved through the ruins carefully. The Krex liked to leave traps. Daiho had lost good soldiers to those tricks before, but this time, the enemy seemed to be gone. Only death and broken dreams remained. The palace had once been a tower of blue crystal that reached toward the clouds. Now it lay in pieces like a broken bottle. But deep inside, Taimin's scanner found something. There, he pointed. Someone's alive in there. They dug through the crystal chunks for an hour. The pieces were heavy and sharp. Finally, they found a room that was still mostly whole, and inside that room they found her. She was the most beautiful and sad thing Daiho had ever seen. Her skin was like blue glass that light could pass through. Her hair was white as snow and floated around her head like she was underwater, but she was dying. Even Daiho could see that. Next to her sat an old man. His skin was the same blue color but darker and more solid. He looked up when the humans entered. His eyes were full of tears. "You are the Sky Warriors," the old man said, in perfect English. "I am Wujin, advisor to the royal house. This is Princess Nari, last daughter of Velthara." Daiho took off his helmet and knelt beside the princess. She was breathing, but barely. Her blue skin had dark spots spreading across it like an infection. "What happened to her?" he asked. "The blood plague," Wujin said sadly. "The Krex used it as a weapon before they attacked. It kills slowly and painfully. It destroys our blood from the inside. She has maybe 1 day left." Taimin ran his medical scanner over the princess. He shook his head. "I'm sorry, sir. I've never seen anything like this. Our medicine won't work on Velthani biology." "There is one way," Wujin said quietly. "In our old stories, they say that the blood of another species might stop the plague, but it would probably kill both the giver and receiver. It has never been tried." Sora looked shocked. "That's crazy. Human blood and alien blood don't mix. It would be suicide." Daiho stared at the dying princess. She looked so young, maybe 20 in human years. Her eyes were closed, but sometimes they moved, like she was dreaming. "What dreams did a dying alien princess have?" "Captain," Taimin said carefully. "We should evacuate the advisor. There's nothing we can do here." But Daiho wasn't listening. He was thinking about his sister back on Earth. She had looked just like this when she was dying in the hospital. He had been only 16 then, too young and weak to help her. He had watched her fade away, one breath at a time. He had promised himself he would never watch anyone die like that again if he could help it. "No," he said firmly. "We're not leaving her." "Sir?" Sora asked. Daiho was already rolling up his sleeve. "Taimin, prep for a blood transfusion." "Captain, that's insane," Taimin protested. "It will kill you both." "Maybe. Or maybe it will save her." Daiho looked at his medic. "You took an oath to help people, right? All people. Not just humans." Taimin stared at him for a long moment. Then he sighed and opened his medical kit. "This is the craziest thing I've ever done." Wujin grabbed Daiho's arm. "Sky Warrior, you do not understand. If you die trying to save her, you will die for nothing. She is just one person. One person is enough," Daiho said simply. They set up the transfusion equipment on the crystal floor. Taimin's hands were shaking as he inserted the needles. "Daiho, lay down next to Princess Nari. Up close, he could see that her lips were blue-black. The plague was winning. "If this works, I'll never understand it," Taemin muttered. "And if it doesn't work, they'll court-martial me for letting you commit suicide." "If it doesn't work, we'll all be too dead to care," Sora said grimly. The blood began to flow. Daeho's red blood traveled through the clear tube toward the princess. It looked wrong, like mixing fire and water. When it reached her arm, her whole body jerked. "Something's happening," Taemin said, watching his instruments. "Her heart rate is jumping all over the place." Daeho felt strange, cold and hot at the same time. The room seemed to be getting brighter, then darker, then brighter again. Princess Nari's eyes snapped open. They were pure silver, like mirrors. "Captain," Sora shouted, "your blood pressure is dropping fast." But Daeho couldn't answer. He felt like he was falling through space. Images flashed through his mind. Images that weren't his memories. He saw Velthara as it used to be, with crystal cities, singing in harmony. He saw the Krek ships coming like Black Death. He felt the princess's fear and sadness like they were his own. And then he felt something else. Something warm and strong and completely impossible. The princess's blood was talking to his blood, not in words, but in feelings and pictures. Her blood was teaching his blood how to help her. His blood was teaching her blood how to be strong like humans were strong. The last thing he remembered before darkness took him was the princess's hand touching his. Her skin was warm now, not cold. And somehow he knew that everything was about to change. When the medical readings on Taiman's scanner suddenly stabilized, both humans showing impossible vital signs, Wu Jin whispered an ancient prayer. The Sky Warriors had come to Velthara, just as the prophecies said they would. But what they would become was beyond anything written in the old books. 3 days passed before Daeho opened his eyes. The first thing he saw was a ceiling made of blue crystal that seemed to glow with its own light. For a moment, he thought he was dreaming. Then he tried to sit up and realized he felt different. Stronger, like electricity was running through his veins instead of blood. "Don't move too fast," said a voice. It was soft and musical, like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. He turned his head and saw Princess Nari sitting beside him. She was alive. More than alive. She looked healthy and strong, with bright silver eyes that seemed to see everything. "You saved me," she said simply. Daeho sat up slowly. His head felt strange, like it was full of whispers he couldn't quite hear. "How long was I unconscious?" 3 days. My advisor Wu Jin thought you might never wake up." She smiled, and when she did, her skin glowed a little brighter. "But I knew you would. I could feel you dreaming." "Feel me dreaming?" Daeho touched his forehead. There was no pain, but something was definitely different. "What happened to us?" Before she could answer, Taemin came running into the room. "Captain, you're awake." He stopped and stared. "Sir, we need to talk. Your blood work is impossible." Dr. Hyunwoo, the team's scientist, came in behind Taemin. He looked excited and scared at the same time. "Captain, what you and the princess have done, it's never been recorded in medical history. Your blood has completely changed. So has hers. You're both showing abilities that shouldn't exist." "What kind of abilities?" Daeho asked. Princess Nari stood up and walked to the crystal wall. Then, to everyone's shock, she put her hand against it and stepped through the wall like it was made of water. She appeared on the other side and stepped back through. "I can move between solid things now," she said calmly, "and I heal very fast. Watch." She took a small crystal shard and cut her finger. Instead of bleeding, the wound closed in seconds, leaving perfect skin behind. Taemin's scanner was beeping frantically. "Captain, your brain activity is off the charts. It's like you're reading everyone's emotions." That explained the whispers in Daeho's head. He looked around the room and suddenly understood that Taemin was worried about him. Dr. Hyunwoo was fascinated, and Princess Nari was happy. Deeply, purely happy for the first time in months. I can sense what people are feeling, Daeho said quietly. It's like hearing voices but with emotions instead of words. This is incredible, Dr. Hyunwoo said, taking readings with his instruments. Your human blood has given her enhanced physical abilities. Her Velthani blood has given you telepathic powers. You've created something completely new. Their conversation was interrupted by Sora's voice over the radio. Captain, we have Krex warships entering orbit. 3 cruisers and a battleship. They're powering weapons. Princess Nari's silver eyes went hard. General Kira. She came to finish what she started. They ran to the command center that Wu Jin had set up in the ruins. The view screen showed 4 black ships shaped like knives. They were beautiful and terrible at the same time. They're targeting the refugee camps, Sora reported. About 2,000 Velthani survivors scattered around the planet. We need to evacuate everyone, Daeho said. But even as he said it, he knew there wasn't time. The Krex ships were already launching attack fighters. No, Princess Nari said firmly. We fight. With what? We have 1 small transport ship against 4 warships. Princess, Nari looked at him with those silver eyes. We have something they don't expect. We have us. The first wave of Krex fighters came screaming down through the atmosphere. Daeho had fought these enemies before. They were fast, smart, and completely ruthless. Their weapons could level city blocks. But when Princess Nari grabbed his hand, something amazing happened. Their minds connected completely. He could see what she was thinking, and she could see his thoughts. More than that, their abilities combined into something greater. They moved together like dancers. When Nari phased through solid matter, Daeho could sense exactly where she would appear. When he felt the emotions of incoming pilots, she could predict their attack patterns. Together they were faster and smarter than either could be alone. Phew. First fighter dove at them, firing energy blasts that should have killed them both, but Nari pulled Daeho with her as she phased through the ground. They appeared behind the fighter, and somehow, impossibly, Daeho was able to grab onto the ship's hull and tear it apart with his bare hands. How am I this strong? He shouted, over the noise of battle. Our blood is sharing everything, Nari shouted back. Your human strength, my Velthani abilities. They fought for hours as more ships landed. Krex soldiers poured out of transports, but the 2 blood-bonded warriors were everywhere at once. Daeho could feel the enemy soldiers' fear growing as they realized they were fighting something they had never seen before. Word traveled fast across the galaxy. By evening, Princess Nari's cousin Jin-ai arrived with the last free Velthani fleet. She stared in amazement as she watched her cousin and the human captain fight side by side. Is this really my little cousin? Jin-ai asked Wu Jin. She is more than she was, the old advisor replied. They both are. The Sky Warrior gave his blood freely, and now they are something new, something the prophecies only hinted at. The battle ended when General Kira herself landed with her personal guard. She was a tall, gray-skinned creature with 4 arms and cold yellow eyes. She had killed more innocent people than anyone could count. I came here to finish exterminating you vermin, she announced, but it seems you have found some new pets. Princess Nari and Daeho stood together, their hands joined. When they spoke, their voices harmonized perfectly. We are not pets, they said as one. We are what happens when 2 peoples choose love over hate. General Kira laughed and raised her weapons. But when she fired, the 2 blood-bonded warriors simply vanished, moving through dimensions that the Krex couldn't even see. They reappeared behind her and, working in perfect unison, destroyed her weapons and captured her entire guard in less than 30 seconds. For the first time in her long career of conquest, General Kira felt something she had never experienced before. Fear. What are you? She whispered. Princess Nari smiled, her skin glowing with inner light. We are hope. As news of their victory spread across the galaxy, other species began to whisper about the blood-bonded warriors who could stand against the mighty Krex Empire. In hidden refuges and slave camps, people began to believe that maybe, just maybe, freedom was possible after all. More refugees arrived every day. They came in broken ships and emergency pods carrying stories of worlds burned and families lost. But they also carried something else. Hope. Word was spreading that the Velthani had found warriors who could fight the Krex Empire and win. Elder Sung Ho was among the refugees. He was older than Wu Jin, so old that his blue skin had turned almost white. When he saw Princess Nari and Captain Daeho together, he began to cry. "The prophecies," he whispered. "After 800 years, the prophecies are coming true." That evening, everyone gathered in the largest intact building. Elder Sung Ho stood before them, holding an ancient crystal tablet covered in glowing symbols. "Long ago, when our people first learned to read the stars, we saw visions of the future," he began. "We saw dark times coming when death would fall from the sky like rain. But we also saw hope. Sky warriors would come, the prophecies said, warriors whose life essence would kindle the dying flame of our people." He looked directly at Daeho. "You were not an accident, human. You were called here by forces older than both our worlds." Dr. Hyunwoo stepped forward. "Sir, with respect, that sounds like mysticism, not science, does it?" Elder Sung Ho smiled. "Then explain why only human blood works with ours. We have tested this with 17 other species over the centuries. All died. But humans are different. Your blood speaks to ours in ways we never imagined possible." Princess Nari squeezed Daeho's hand. "He's right, I can feel it when we're connected. Your species and mine, we're like two parts of the same song." More humans had arrived with Commander Yunji's fleet. Among them were volunteers who wanted to try the blood bonding procedure. The first was Jun Sik, a young soldier who had lost his entire family to Krex raiders. "I want to help fight them," he said simply. "If this gives me the power to save other families, I'll take the risk." A Velthani warrior named Kale stepped forward. "I will bond with him. My planet is gone, but maybe together we can protect what's left." Dr. Hyunwoo performed the procedure carefully, monitoring every detail. When Jun Sik and Kale's blood mixed, the results were different from Daeho and Princess Nari, but just as amazing. Jun Sik gained the ability to move faster than the eye could follow, while Kale developed incredible strength and the power to generate energy shields. Mi Young, a communications officer, bonded with a Velthani scientist named Terra. Together, they could interface directly with any computer system, understanding alien technology instantly. Chan Wu, an engineer, bonded with a young Velthani named Vel and gained the ability to see several seconds into the future during combat. Each bonding created something unique, but all of them shared one thing. When the bonded pairs worked together, they were far more than the sum of their parts. "It's like evolution in fast forward," Dr. Hyunwoo marveled as he studied the results. Each pair develops exactly the abilities they need to complement each other. But success came with a price. Not every attempt worked. Donghyun, a brave pilot, volunteered to bond with an injured Velthani elder. The mixing of their blood caused both their hearts to stop. Taemin worked for 3 hours trying to save them, but it was too late. Princess Nari held Donghyun's hand as he died. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I'm so sorry." "Don't be," Donghyun said with his last breath. "You gave me purpose. Save everyone. You can." The funeral was small, but meaningful. Humans and Velthani stood together, sharing grief in a way that words couldn't express. Elder Sung Ho spoke ancient prayers while Daeho played a recording of Donghyun's favorite song from Earth. The Krex Empire noticed the changes happening on Velthara. General Kira, now imprisoned but still dangerous, laughed when she heard about the blood bondings. "You think mixing your blood makes you strong?" she said during an interrogation. "Wait until the High Command hears about this. They will bring weapons that can crack planets in half." She wasn't lying. Intelligence reports confirmed that the Krex were mobilizing their entire battle fleet. Hundreds of warships, planet-killer weapons, reality-warping technology that could tear apart the fabric of space itself. But the blood-bonded pairs weren't standing still. Technician Bo-Ram and her Velthani partner had developed new hybrid weapons that seemed to think for themselves. adapting to enemy tactics in real time. Pilot Heywan and his bondmate could navigate hyperspace without computers, feeling the currents of space-time like ocean tides. Most importantly, Princess Nari and Captain Deho discovered that their connection went even deeper than they had realized. During meditation, they found they could merge their consciousness completely, becoming a single being with the combined knowledge and abilities of both species. "When we join like this," Princess Nari said after one such session, "I understand things I never knew before. I can see the patterns that connect all living things." "It's like seeing the universe from outside," Deho agreed. "Everything is connected. Every choice, every action, every drop of blood." Dr. Hyunwoo made a disturbing discovery while studying their merged state. When you join completely, your individual brain patterns almost disappear. You become something entirely new. If you stayed merged for too long, we might not be able to separate, Deho finished. We'd lose who we were as individuals. It was a sobering thought. The power to save their peoples might cost them their individual selves. The answer came from an unexpected source. Elder Sung Ho found another prophecy, hidden in the oldest crystal archives. "When the final darkness comes," he read, "the flame-bearers must choose. Remain as they are and watch all burn, or become something greater and heal the wounds in the very fabric of existence." "It's talking about us," Princess Nari realized. "The final choice we'll have to make." Outside, the stars themselves began to flicker as Krek's reality weapons tested their power. Soon the enemy would arrive with enough firepower to destroy entire solar systems. The blood-bonded pairs looked at each other, human and Velthani united by choice and sacrifice. They had come so far from that moment when one human soldier decided not to let an alien princess die alone. Now they would have to decide how much they were willing to sacrifice to save not just their own species, but the very nature of reality itself. The final battle was coming, and it would demand everything they had to give. The message came through hyperspace like a scream of metal and fury. Every communication device on Velthara crackled to life with the same transmission, broadcast across the entire galaxy. "Attention, all inferior species," came the cold voice of Krek's High Command. "The abomination known as blood bonding ends now. We are sending our entire war fleet to cleanse the universe of this perversion. Surrender the hybrid creatures and your deaths will be swift. Resist and we will make your species extinct." Commander Yunji stood in the command center, her face pale but determined. "Captain Deho, I've got bad news from Earth Command, long range. Sensors show the Kreks have mobilized everything. Over 3,000 warships, planet killers, reality bombs. They're coming at us and Earth at the same time." Princess Nari closed her silver eyes and reached out with her enhanced senses. Across the galaxy she could feel the terror of billions of beings as Krek's forces began moving toward their worlds. But she could also feel something else. Hope. Spreading, like wildfire from system to system. "They're not just targeting us anymore," she told the assembled crowd of humans and Velthani. "Species all over the galaxy are asking for blood-bonded pairs. They want to fight back, and they were coming." Transport ships arrived hourly, carrying volunteers from dozens of worlds. There was Zeta, a pilot from the desert planet Kar, who bonded with Velthani navigator Yeon and could now fly through asteroid fields like they were empty space. There were the twins Ara and Lin from the ice world Frost, who bonded with Velthani healers and could now cure diseases that had plagued their people for generations. Not all the attempts succeeded. The failure rate was still high. Perhaps 1 in 3. Each death hit the survivors hard, but it also made them more determined. They held ceremonies for the fallen, singing songs from both their worlds, promising that their sacrifice would not be forgotten. Boram worked day and night with her Velthani partner, creating new technologies that seemed to merge organic and mechanical in impossible ways. Their weapons could adapt to enemy shields instantly. Their ships could heal battle damage by growing new parts like living tissue. "It's not just technology anymore," Boram explained to Dr. Hyunwoo. "When we're bonded, we don't build machines. We grow them, like the tools are alive and want to help us." Pilot Heywan and his bondmate had discovered they could do more than navigate hyperspace. They could actually fold space-time, allowing small fleets to appear anywhere in the galaxy, almost instantly. Soon, blood-bonded pairs were striking Krex supply lines and rescue ships all across their empire. The Krex response was brutal. They began destroying entire worlds just to make examples. But for every world they burned, 3 more species joined. The rebellion. The blood bonding was spreading faster than the Empire could stop it. General Kira, still imprisoned but watching everything through security feeds, seemed more troubled than angry. "You don't understand what you're doing," she told Princess Nari during one interrogation. "Our empire has rules, order. Without us keeping control, the galaxy will tear itself apart." "Your order is built on fear and death," Princess Nari replied. "We're showing people a different way." "And what happens when your little experiment fails? When species start fighting each other instead of us, your blood bonding won't fix everything." "Maybe not," Daiho said, joining the conversation. "But at least we're trying to build something instead of just tearing things down." The first major test came when the Krex launched their attack on the Kef homeworld. The Kef were an ancient species known for their wisdom and their massive library cities that contained the knowledge of 1,000 worlds. The Krex wanted to destroy these libraries to break the spirit of the rebellion. 8 blood-bonded pairs answered the call for help. They arrived just as Krex reality weapons began tearing holes in space around the planet. These weren't normal weapons. They attacked the very laws of physics, making gravity reverse, time flow backward, matter transform into energy. "We can't fight weapons that break reality itself," Commander Yunji said over the radio. "Those things could unravel the universe," but Princess Nari and Captain Daiho had an idea. "What if we don't fight the weapons?" Nari suggested. "What if we fix what they break?" They merged their consciousness completely, becoming the single entity they had practiced becoming. But this time, they stayed merged and flew directly into the reality tiers. Instead of being destroyed, they began healing the damage, using their combined willpower to restore the natural laws of physics. Other bonded pairs saw what they were doing and followed. Junsik and Kale flew into a gravity storm and calmed it. Mi-young and Terra entered a time reversal field and set it flowing forward again. One by one, the reality weapons were neutralized, not by destroying them, but by healing their effects. Die. Krex fleet commander was so shocked that he forgot to retreat. The blood-bonded pairs, still merged into their combined forms, surrounded the Krex ships. But instead of attacking, they broadcast pure emotion directly into the enemy vessels. For the first time in their lives, Krex soldiers felt what their victims felt. They experienced the terror of families watching their worlds burn. They felt the grief of parents losing children, the despair of entire species facing extinction. Half the Krex fleet surrendered immediately. The other half fled back to their empire. But they carried the experience with them. The emotional broadcast had changed them permanently. "What did we just do?" Daiho asked, as he and Princess Nari separated back into individuals. "We showed them the truth," she replied. "For just a moment they felt what we feel, what everyone feels when they suffer." News of the victory spread instantly. More species joined the rebellion. More volunteers came for blood bonding. The Krex Empire, which had seemed invincible for centuries, was starting to crack, but the cost was becoming clear. Each time the bonded pairs merged completely, it became harder to separate. Yuna and her Velthani partner had been merged for 3 days now, speaking in unified voices, their individual personalities starting to fade. "We might lose ourselves," Yuna admitted during a brief moment when she seemed more like her old self. But if that's what it takes to save everyone, Dr. Hyunwoo was deeply worried. "We're asking people to sacrifice their individual existence to become something greater. That's a terrible choice to force on anyone." "No one's being forced," Princess Nari said quietly. "We're all choosing this freely." The final Krex Armada was 3 days away from Earth and Velthara. Intelligence reports showed weapons that could destroy entire star systems, reality bombs that would tear apart the fabric of spacetime itself across multiple dimensions. If they use those weapons, Dr. Hyunwoo calculated, they'll damage reality so badly that the universe itself might start falling apart. Billions of worlds would be destroyed. Princess Nari and Captain Deho stood together on the observation deck, watching their people prepare for the final battle. Humans and Velthani worked side by side, no longer seeing each other as aliens but as family. "Are you ready?" she asked him. "To fight? Yes. To die? Maybe. To become something that's not quite you or me anymore?" He was quiet for a long moment. "I think so. For them, I think I'm ready for anything." Around them, other bonded pairs were having similar conversations. They all knew what might be required. To heal the wounds the Kreks would tear in reality itself, they might have to permanently merge, losing their individual selves to become something greater. The choice would have to be made soon. And once made, there would be no going back. The Kreks armada arrived like a storm of black metal and death. 3,000 ships filled the space around Earth, their reality weapons charging with energy that made the stars themselves flicker and dim. Princess Nari felt every living thing, on both worlds crying out in terror as spacetime began to warp and twist. "They're targeting population centers first," Commander Yunji reported, her voice tight with fear. "If those reality bombs hit Earth's cities, they'll tear holes in the universe that we can't repair." Captain Deho stood beside Princess Nari on the bridge of their combined fleet. Around them, 47 blood-bonded pairs from 20 different worlds prepared for the final battle. They had come so far from that moment 3 weeks ago when he had offered his blood to save a dying alien princess. "All bonded pairs, listen to me," Deho broadcast on all channels. "What we're about to do, there's no coming back from it. If we merge permanently to stop this, we'll lose who we were as individuals. We'll become something new. Something greater," added Princess Nari. "But we'll also lose ourselves." One by one, the bonded pairs responded. Junsik and Kale from their fighter ship, Mi-Young and Terra from the communications array, Boram and her partner from engineering, Yuna and her Velthani bondmate, who had been merged so long they now spoke with one voice. "We understand," they all said. "We choose to save everyone." The first reality bomb launched. It was a weapon that attacked existence itself, designed to make matter and energy forget how to exist. Where it struck Earth's moon, a spreading void of absolute nothing began to grow. "Now!" Princess Nari called out. She and Captain Deho joined hands and merged for the last time. Their individual minds flowed together like two rivers becoming one ocean. They became Nari Deho, a being that existed in multiple dimensions at once, understanding both human determination and Velthani wisdom as parts of a greater whole. The merged being flew directly into the spreading void and began to sing. It was a song made of pure will, reminding the universe how to exist, how to be real. The void stopped spreading and slowly began to fill with stars and light again, all. Around the battle, other bonded pairs followed their lead. They merged permanently, becoming transcendent beings that existed beyond the normal limits of space and time. Each fusion triggered waves of energy that spread across the galaxy at faster than light speeds. But these weren't waves of destruction. They were waves of empathy, of connection, of shared feeling. Every sentient being in the galaxy suddenly felt what everyone else was feeling. On the Krek's command ship, Admiral Vex was ordering another reality bomb when the wave hit him. For the first time in his long life of conquest, he felt the terror and pain of every victim his forces had ever killed. The weight of billions of deaths crashed into his mind all at once. "Stop," he whispered, then screamed it. "Stop! All weapons, cease fire!" Across the Krek's fleet, the same thing was happening. Soldiers who had killed without mercy were suddenly drowning in the grief of countless mothers, fathers, children. They felt every moment of suffering they had ever caused. General Kira, watching from her prison cell, fell to her knees as the wave washed over her. She experienced every world she had burned, every species she had destroyed, every life she had ended. The pain was so vast that she couldn't breathe, but mixed with the pain was something else. Love. Forgiveness. The mercy that Princess Nari had learned from humans, the compassion that Captain Deho had learned from the Velthani. The combined being that had been both of them was broadcasting not just the pain of the galaxy's suffering, but also its infinite capacity for healing. "I'm sorry," General Kira sobbed. "I'm so sorry."